So last week I caught myself thinking, when was the last time I went to the cinema? It's been a while for sure, over a year at least. I asked my brother the same question and he said he hadn't been in 3 years. I asked him the reason why and he just shrugged and said, nothing on, is there? It's not technically true. There are films showing at my local cinema, but none of them are worth spending the money to go and see. It's all unnecessary remakes, spin-offs and sequels. As a shortlist, already this year we've had Beetlejuice, Deadpool and Wolverine, Alien Romulus, Twisters, Bad Boys 4, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and, most recently, Joker 2. There are even more films in this that I could list, but I'm sure you don't want to hear them all. It's been the same thing for the last 2 or 3 years. Soon we will be getting Gladiator 2, and, even more farcically, The Passion of the Christ 2. God, it's like a throwaway joke from The Simpsons at this point.
You may remember me from such cartoons as Christmas Ape and Christmas Ape Goes to Summer Camp.
It's just so uninspired. Where's the creativity? Where's the artistic expression? Today we're going to dig into this problem and see if there's a way to bring some originality back into our movies. Okay, maybe I was spoiled by having most of my formative movie experiences in the past century, but I do know that things haven't always been this way. The 1990s and 2000s in particular produced an overabundance of films that later became cult classics. Films that were full of unique ideas, unusual concepts, and innovative filmmaking. But it seems that in modern times, film producers have gotten extremely cagey about making any film that is not linked in some way to an existing and usually exhausted franchise or IP. Part of this is a hangover from the success of the Marvel Universe, but I also think it's a direct result of unusual hiring practices in the industry, where older and more experienced writers are overlooked in favour of younger staffers who tick the right boxes.
What about writers? Like, what were you looking for in writers? And 'cause that's another thing.
I was very adamant on having an inclusive writers' room. That's very important to me. So it was over 50% women and over 50% people of color. And I was very adamant on that.
Express the right opinions.
Thank you so much, Angelique, for noticing and acknowledging the fact that this is the first time that we see a woman, a black woman, in this area and this world and these works of Tolkien.
Yes, yes.
And, most importantly, cost the producers less money.
So it's commies.
But this short-sighted approach isn't doing anyone any good. Hollywood is losing money and audiences are getting ever more jaded. Producers can blame the writer's strike, the pandemic, the economy, or any other reason they can think of, but in my opinion, it's just down to the quality. It all starts with the writing. The big thing I notice about modern scripts is that they're all so incredibly stale. They lack experimentation and they lack enthusiasm. It all feels a bit paint by numbers, with heavily managed boundaries and curbed expectations.
And I'll have one of the vanilla bullshit things. Some vanilla bullshit, latte, kappa thing, you know, whatever you got, I don't care.
Modern writers are missing the true point of creativity, which is to genuinely express yourself in a fun and unique way. Creative writing is an art. It's a process of skill and spontaneity. It's not supposed to be a cynical and repetitive grind towards a predetermined target.
Why don't you just say who you're talking about? You're talking about me, aren't you?
There was a lot of new energy in the room tonight, and some of it was just so Rainbow Rhythms, and some of it was just so not Rainbow Rhythms.
Many have lamented the fact that there are lots of films that couldn't be made nowadays, due to the unfortunate taboos and hypersensitivities of our time. But the truth is, as much as it would be fun, I don't think we actually need anything particularly controversial to get us out of this slump. All we need is something really creative. Let's look at an example and get into a fantastic film from way back in 2008. Martin McDonagh's masterful debut feature, In Bruges.
I didn't even know where Bruges fucking was. It's in Belgium.
In Bruges proves you can write about whatever you want, as long as you write well. It follows the story of two hitmen, Ray and Ken, as they hide out in the historic city of Bruges after Ray's very first job goes sideways, resulting in the tragic death of a young and innocent bystander. Throughout the course of the film, Ray is plagued with guilt over the death of the young boy. It's something that really severely affects him, and it's not something he can ever see himself getting past. This is an opinion that's shared by their employer Harry, who says that Ray should have ended his life immediately after seeing what had happened.
If I had killed a little kid, I'd have killed myself on the fucking spot. On the fucking spot. I'd have stuck the gun in my mouth on the fucking spot.
Unbeknownst to Ray and Ken, Harry has arranged for this trip to Bruges specifically as a present to Ray before he has him put out of his misery permanently. Harry thinks that Bruges is the most beautiful place in the world and a perfect place to spend your last days. And while Ken can certainly appreciate the city, Ray, the intended beneficiary, absolutely hates it.
This whole being in Bruges thing, just to give you one last joyful memory before you died.
In Bruges? Why fucking Bruges?
The film is a dark comedy, and it leans very heavy on both the drama and the humour. The tonal changes are intense, but nothing ever feels out of place due to the really natural dialogue between the two main characters. They can go from humorous and inane chit-chat in 1 minute to absolute soul-crushing depression the next, as the film deals with complex themes of guilt, nihilism, friendship, redemption and integrity. It's a non-standard film, with characters that fit no archetypical moulds, but are nonetheless extremely relatable and memorable.
Oh, great day this has turned out to be. Me mate tries to kill me, me gun gets nicked and we're still in fucking Bruges.
The performances of the two leads are brilliant, and Colin Farrell in particular really steals the show as the immature, stroppy and seemingly simple-minded Ray. It's a great physical and comedic performance on his part, and with his recent roles in The Gentleman and The Penguin, I'm glad to see him getting a bit of a career resurgence. In my opinion, he's a bit of an underrated actor, and I think he's got a lot more to give going forward. Anyway, the interplay between Ray and Ken in the film goes well beyond the traditional odd couple trope. It most strongly resembles something like a high school teacher and teenage student dynamic, and the whole Bruges thing feels like a frustrating school trip, despite the dangerous violent nature of both men and the dramatic intensity of the life and death plot.
Up there, the top altar, is a vial said to contain some drops of Jesus Christ's blood. Come. Do I have to? Do you have to? It's Jesus' fucking blood, isn't it? Of course you don't fucking have to.
The plot is great, but it's the characters and dialogue that really make the film shine. Brendan Gleeson as Ken plays the role of a straight man to the unpredictable Ray and the psychotic Harry, but he still has a lot of detail in his character and he never gets overshadowed in his scenes. The scene where he discusses the tragic murder of his wife and his subsequent gratitude and loyalty to Harry for avenging her does so much with so little, and it gives the character a strong sense of conflict when he eventually disobeys Harry's direct order to kill off Ray.
Boy, I had to be given a chance. I had to say, fuck you, and fuck what I owe you, and fuck everything that's gone on between us. I love you unreservedly for all that. For your integrity. For your honour. I love you.
Well, you say all that fucking stuff, I can't fucking shoot you now, can I?
The level of character detail in the side cast is really impressive too. Whether it's Jimmy and his controversial social opinions,
I could see it. There's gonna be a war between the blacks and between the whites.
Yuri, the linguistically obsessed Russian gun dealer.
Are you sure this is Iraq with alcoves?
Alcoves, yes.
Or production assistant Chloe and her casual lover who rob tourists sometimes.
Why did you come tonight?
Chloe, I can't you, I swear it! Oh, stop whinging like a big gay baby.
Ray Fiennes rounds off the main cast as Harry, the hitman's lethal boss. The actor is no stranger to unhinged villainous roles, but I still feel like he got a kick out of playing this one, if only for the swear count alone.
Why aren't you in when I fucking told you to be in? You better fucking be in tomorrow night when I fucking call again, or there'll be fucking hell to pay, I'm fucking telling you, Harry.
The character of Harry adds vital thread and conflict to the story, but he still manages to play a big part in the comedy due to his rigid and eccentric personality.
Is Ray there with you?
He's in the toilet.
What's she doing?
What do you mean?
Is she doing a wee or a poo?
I don't know, Harry. The door's closed.
He sets out the rules for the characters to work within, discussing the importance of sticking to principles and following orders to a T.
Fucking cunt! Look, I'm not gonna do nothing to you just because you're standing about like Robert fucking Powell.
He has a strong, if somewhat bizarre, sense of honour and loyalty, but he is also a complete psychopath that clearly has no problem taking life and hurting other people.
Understand, Englishman?
You can tell Martin McDonagh had a great time writing this film. The comedy is sharp and irreverent, and the whole thing just feels so liberated. It's having fun, really getting into the nuances of life without looking for permission or approval. The writing is real and personal, crafted by an experienced playwright at the very top of his game, and it's funny, interesting, sad, and highly quotable.
Harry.
What?
It's an inanimate fucking object.
You're an inanimate fucking object!
In Bruges' writing is vivid and wild, but even though the film feels spontaneous, it still fundamentally adheres to the laws of storytelling, especially when it comes to things like setup and payoff.
You came at me with a bottle. What are you gonna do?
Sorry. Someone comes at you with a bottle. That is a deadly weapon. He's got to take the consequences. A bottle! Now don't bother.
There's one main payoff that I'll hold off discussing, just in case anyone watching hasn't seen the film yet. It's too good to spoil, and I don't want to be responsible for ruining your experience. So instead I'll focus on one of my favourite little comedic runners, the Americans in the Bell Tower.
Been to the top of the tower?
Well, you lot ain't going up there.
Pardon me?
It's all windy stairs. I'm not being funny.
What exactly are you trying to say?
Is there a bunch of fucking elephants?
This scene is funny enough on its own. It's ridiculous, cheeky, and wickedly familiar for anyone with experience in European tourism. But the film doubles down on it shortly after, pushing the laugh even further.
Hey, guys, I wouldn't go up there. It's really narrow.
Screw you, motherfucker!
Finally, near the end of the film, when we're distracted by the major events of the plot coming together, we get this final little cherry on the cake, resolving what were apparently just setups in the previous scenes.
Tower is closed this evening. Tower is usually open until 7. Yesterday an American had a heart attack on the tower. Today the tower is closed.
This is great, and there are great beats like this sprinkled all the way throughout this film. Every scene has something entertaining and memorable in it. It really is a fantastically realised movie.
It's just a shame it's in Belgium, really.
Now, what can I see at the cinema today that would even hold a candle to the levels of wit, insight and raw creativity expressed in this film? The answer is nothing. Mainstream Hollywood movies are currently completely spent, and even if you think some of the recent sequels I cited at the start of this video are not too bad, they're still derivative ideas, often born out of films that haven't been fresh since the 1980s. And not bad isn't really good enough when it's becoming the high watermark of what we're being served up. But I still have hope for the future. There are still excellent independent and international productions out there that are worth watching if you can find them, and there are brilliant writers that are eager to work that aren't currently being allowed in. We're just going through a bad trend, facilitated by bad people, and I don't think it will last for too much longer. In the next few years, Hollywood is going to go through a little bit of a shake-up, and out of it I predict we'll see a resurgence of funny, irreverent and emotionally complex films that will be so much better than anything we've seen in the last 3 to 5 years. History has taught us that periods of authoritarian restriction are always followed by an explosion of creative thought and experimentation. The human spirit remains strong, and I am looking forward to seeing what the not too distant future will bring. In the meantime, in your own work, please try and indulge your sense of creativity as much as possible. It's what the whole process is about. Write with a sense of play. Try things out, experiment, do something you think is fun. It's totally fine to push the boundaries. Like I said in the previous video, what is most personal is most universal. So get all your weird ideas out on the page and see what you can make out of them.
2 monkey hookers and a racist dwarf. I think I'm heading home.
Write something with heart and write it well. That way you can always be proud of what you've produced, whether it goes into production or not. But just think, you've not exactly got stiff competition at the moment. If you do produce a truly original script in the next year or so, you could be in line for a call-up when the winds begin to shift. And wouldn't that be something? Anyway folks, that's us arrived at the end of this video. And on a personal note, I just want to thank everyone watching for the massive boost you gave to the channel on the previous video. I really didn't expect the reaction it got, and I was over the moon to read your comments and hear your thoughts on it. Because of all of you, I'm now over halfway to monetization, so thank you so much for the support. I won't ever forget it. If you enjoyed today's video, please leave a comment below and join in the conversation. And remember to press the like button to help this video grow. If you'd like to subscribe, there's a button showing at the bottom right of your screen. Click it now to stay up to date with new videos coming out in the future. Thanks again, folks. I'll see you all soon.
We're taking you back to Bruges.
Brilliant.
Why would anybody have to go to Belgium?